Thank you for joining me tonight. My name is Ian Blackburn. I'm the host of Zoom into Wine and learnaboutwine.com. And I get the great privilege of hosting these STARS events. Tonight's kind of personal to me. Sometimes I'm putting together a STARS event, not because I think it's going to sell 1,000,000 tickets, but because it's something that I really care about. And I want to show off some of the best wines from the Chardonnay category, irregardless of anything else. I knew Chardonnay would be a little more difficult sale. I knew I'm doing it on a playoff night with baseball, and my Dodgers are suffering right now. But we'll see how it goes here tonight. Don't tell me the score or any updates. I'm going to watch it later. But hope everybody's doing all right. We've got some great wines to taste through, and I'm really excited to have you all here. And some great people from all over the place. Lisa, good to see you in Santa Monica. Ivy in Los Angeles. And Tina, how are you, Tina? Good to see you again.
Good to see you, Ian.
Thanks for being here. Hi, Natalie. Hey, Troy. Hey, Gia. Gary and Tanya. And Janice, got everything in good shape? Thank you for your patience with
Good, thank
us.
you.
Awesome. I will tell you, we went to the very last moment with the Lewin Artist Series Chardonnay. We almost had to pull that sucker out of here, but it finally got through customs, and we were able to get it on the lineup tonight. So some of you got your kits a little bit later than we would have preferred, but we're all glad that you're here now, and let's talk great wine, shall we? I'm going to get into our PowerPoint. If you got our emails, we sent you a tasting mat, so you could print this out in advance and have it right in your handy hands, or maybe put your glasses on it. I am recommending a bigger wine glass tonight. This shape, by the way, can you see that? The shape of this glass is really optimal for Chardonnay, and Troy's got it going on.
Oops, I gotta go grab a different wine glass then.
All right. It's worth it. It's worth it
I
to.
got to be honest, I don't, not all of mine. I did 6 glasses just because why not? But so they're not all like that. I just
Right,
held
right.
up that one.
That's cool. Well,
Actually, two, but
an AP that you just showed me is an acceptable glass for all wines. But if you really want to examine wines more with the proper tool, the proper glass will really give you the best insight and really take away any other distractions. Some wine glasses will actually work against the wine. If you put your Chardonnay in, say, a Cabernet glass or a different varietal glass, it could try to, optimize the smells of Cabernet on your Chardonnay. So there's just little things like that. They do tend to simplify glassware into two categories: something that's more like Cabernet or Bordeaux styled, and then something that's more Pinot and Chard. And I use this glass for Champagne, Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, even some Rhone wines in this rounder bowl. So let's go into that PowerPoint again. Let's begin with Stars of Chardonnay. Um, we're in harvest during this production, so we worked extra hard to get some amazing content, and I'm hoping this actually becomes one of the best efforts that we've done because the wines certainly deserve it. I wanted to start off with crispy, fresh Chablis. Chablis being in France, a little south of Paris, about an hour and a half or so, the northern part of Burgundy. And this Chablisian soil is really the key. Let's talk to our producer tonight. This is Brocard, and we're meeting with the son of Jean-Marc Brocard, and he will tell us a great story. Now at Stars of Chardonnay, we're going to go live to Chablis in Burgundy, France. And we're going to hang out now with Julien Brocard. He's the president and CEO of Jean-Marc Brocard. And good morning from Los Angeles. Good evening in Burgundy. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm very fine, thank you. Very fine. Good.
I understand you just finished harvest, and it was a good one.
Yes, we have a good harvest for 5 years now. It's the only one we have a normal yield, and the quality is very nice, and the style is very shabby. So we are very happy. The cellar is quite full, so it's very nice for us. Thank you.
Let's talk about the place. This is a picture of your vineyards. I learned you have 200 hectare, which is a wonderful size property. Make about 75,000 cases off 200 hectare, and
Yes.
and this is a little abbey that is in your property.
This church is the Church of Saint Clair, and is inside our property. It's why we have called our Chablis Saint Clair, and all vineyards come from also this area, and we call it all vines of Saint Clair.
Excellent. And how old are these vines?
These vines are the Chablis Saint Clair is around 45 years old, and the old vines is 35 years old, just planted after the war, and it has been planted by a great uncle, and it was the first vine where when my father started to grow in Chablis, when he started in 72. His own company. Yes, and we are in a village called Prey. It's one of the 20 village can produce the appellation of Chablis, southwest of Chablis, in an area where the soil is very Kimmeridgian. It's a soil chalky and clay layers, very strong soil on the minority. And it shall be will bring lots of iodine taste and mineral taste, which is so characteristic to Chablis.
I
You can
love
see, yes,
I love the Cameroonian soil concept, and I just imagine, maybe 1,000 years ago when they were really deciding where to plant grapes, and the monks saw the seashells and they thought this is white wine, right?
yes. It's the monks, Cistercian monks in Chablis, where implants the Chardonnay. They find the grapes. It was called Bonnois before, but it became a Chardonnay name, and they selected the best variety to mix very well with the ground, and they found Kimmeridgian subsoil, and because they were very characteristic, energetic, dynamic, and produce a very specific wine regarding the others.
Great. And there's a photo of your father who works in the cellar, the Shea, at this time.
Yes, my father and me, because we are the two running the company today, and my father, of course, starts in 72 the domain. Now I run the domain for 15 years now, and so we have a close cooperation during almost 10-15 years, and now it's more to like a soft retirement, but it's still there because you never go away from the domain, because it's part of you.
Right. Beautiful. And I think this picture is fantastic because we're looking at probably early spring, and we're looking down into the vineyard, and you can just see that soil and those undulating hills that provide the different exposure.
Yes, this is the start of spring. You see the small grow of the leaves, and this is a stage very fragile against the frost. And the last 5 years, it always at this stage that you can damage the small leaf of just before the burgeon, the small burgeon. And this year was safe, but we always have problem at this period. And you see there is some humidity, and when it's the night is cold, you can frost and you can lose a great part of the harvest if damage the bird or the leaves.
It's amazing to see the horse pulling the sled and tearing the soil, and it's pretty muscular and beautiful at the same time. It's really amazing.
It's a big work, big work.
So the wine that we're trying today is the 2009.
Yes.
It's 100% Chardonnay. It's from the vineyard that we were taking a look at there that they've been farming since you acquired. Did you acquire that land back in 1973 as well, or has it been slowly acquired over time?
When we take this land, you mean?
Yes.
The time? I don't remember because it's my father. I think it's between 70 and 80, which he catch this land by a great uncle, and this land has just been planted after the war, and it was the only vineyards on prairie you can see on the slope. So at this time there was no vines. Today all the slope is full of vines, but at that time there was only one vines, and this land has been planted with massal selection of Chardonnay. So there is really a complexity of Chardonnay inside this land, and the particularity of all vine that there is the roots go down very deep in the soil, and they extract a lot of minerality of the stage of the ground. So it's bring a complexity on the minerality, and there is a very constant in year after year in the style of the wine. So you always see the character year after year because it's all very constant in the style.
And 2019 was a good year, but a small year, right?
It was a very nice year, a small year for as the past 19, 20, 21 was already done, but 19 was 30% less of a normal year. So a tiny year in terms of volume. It was quite a solar year, and for the old vine, they never suffer because the roots is very down. They never suffer of the climates. They will always be protected because the roots can go down very deep, and they even if they're a year quite sunny, they stay live all the year. They stay lively all the year.
Great, perfect. Well, I'm going to taste the wine with the group now. I appreciate your time with us today, and keep up the great work, and we'll keep supporting on this side and drinking everything we can get our hands on. It was great to see you on the video, but I hope to be in Chablis in the next year or so, and maybe I get to come say hi.
Thank you very much. Have a nice tasting with this old vine, and hope to see you in Chablis soon.
Merci. Au revoir. All right, got some good comments going. We're using the chat box. If you're not able to see that, just take a look down the bottom of the screen. You'll see quite a few chats about that last wine, and we've got a number of really great videos tonight talking with the winemakers. Of course, in Burgundy right now, it's about 4 in the morning, and a very successful 2022 harvest. But what they're considering successful is basically their coffers are full, lots of wine and good quality. 2019 that we're drinking tonight from Chablis is a very good vintage, but pretty warm, and they lost a lot of the fruit. So you're going to get some pretty exaggerated, a little more oomph and ripeness and stuff like that. But this wine always has that. This is just an exceptional version, and we took a very big position on this 2019, and we'll have it for a good long time. I will tell you, when Chablis is great, it really starts to shine in its fourth and fifth years. And so I would love to drink this into 2024, and I'm not afraid to see this wine 7 or 8 years old, when they have old vines, or even the Premier Cru, and certainly the Grand Cru wines. Premier Cru, don't even touch them until they're 5 years old. But this quality level rewards kind of earlier drinking. Less than $30 a bottle. It's a great value, and that is our Jean-Marc Brocard, and that's the Vieille Vigne, or Old Vine. Any questions I can answer for anybody? I just want to remind you, this is not me talking on video. It's an interactive experience, and I'd love for you guys to ask me as many questions as you have, inside or outside of this particular wine. Just feel free. If you would rather send a private chat, you could do that too. We'll go back into our video presentation and take a look at wine number 2, which is from Presqu'île. Now we go to Santa Barbara for a fantastic preview of Presqu'île Winery, one of my longtime favorite brands in Santa Barbara. And our guest today is Tim Wanner. Tim, did I pronounce that correctly?
You did. Good job.
That's pretty rare for me.
A lot of people say Wayner. I'm like, what word do you know that sounds like Wayne?
Names are so personal.
True.
And Presqu'île is a unique name. That's South African, right?
No, it's actually Creole or French, which means almost an island or peninsula.
Oh,
and the name itself kind of harkens back to, the properties owned by the Murphy families, originally from Arkansas. But they had property on the Gulf Coast. And that property is actually called Presqu'île, which was on a peninsula. And it was a multi-generational family kind of compound where they'd all come together and share wine and food. It was a very convivial atmosphere, but that was kind of taken away during Katrina. And so when they built this property, they said they were searching for names, and it just felt like that was the name for this place.
Oh, I was going to just ask about that. We had a huge Katrina event that we produced called LA Supports LA.
Mm-hmm.
Now Hurricane Ian is hitting that same part of the world. Hopefully everything's okay there.
Yeah, well, just segue. I just got my father-in-law who's in just south of Tampa. Just texted me this morning, and lights are back on, at least there.
Yeah, it seems like most of the problems have moved through Florida anyway, and we'll see how that goes. But let's talk about this magnificent project. And I've always been a believer in the style, which I think is a standout for so many reasons, and you definitely went deep and hard on establishing the brand in the AVA, and you came to the market with these beautifully different wines.
Mm-hmm.
I really think that you gained the respect of the sommelier and wine community in a big way. And I'm excited to be able to hopefully be pouring this wine for people, perhaps even for the first time. Let's talk about the property. How many acres is the Presqu'île?
Yeah, so Presqu'île, if you're not familiar, we're in Santa Barbara County. But that being said, people think Santa Barbara, they think this beautiful, Mediterranean-esque city on the sea. But we're up inland from them, and we're on the northern side of the county as well. I'm looking out right now out of our front windows, and I can see right down to Pismo Beach, so right down to the Pacific. So what makes this property truly unique is that we're cool climate wine, even though we're this far south and we're close to LA. We're much cooler than Napa, and we're much cooler than Sonoma. So we're blessed with the ability to produce cool climate wines, even though we're in California. And so, you couple that with where we're at, beautiful ocean breezes, cool temperatures, and then we've got this terroir. For us, it's all sand. Our property is 500 acres, 72 under vine, and all of our vineyards are planted in sand, which kind of leads to, we're going to taste the Chardonnay today. Creates these beautiful Chardonnays that have this like salinity and this like nice depth to them, but with retaining balance and great acidity to them. They're kissed with California sunshine, but they've got all that balance of everything you're looking for from like a food friendly, let's put it on the table and enjoy it kind of wine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like the acid driven style that you have been able to really showcase, not just a beautiful Santa Barbara version, but something that ages quite well.
Yeah, we had the opportunity to taste through a bunch of older Chardonnays. This past weekend, we actually had an event up here. So we were pulling out stuff from 14, 15, and 16, and out of 3 liters. I'm amazed about how fresh they still taste to this day,
I imagine 3 liters too. Those are like Titans. They're gonna, those are 25-year bottles probably.
Yeah, no, they're definitely showing the signs of going the distance.
Yeah. Well, you got that oceanic influence. You've got the Santa Barbara terroir and the hills and the sand, and you've got a winemaking team that has been working on this property for a while and has great wisdom of how to capture the nuances. And this is our Chardonnay. Now, at the Presqu'île, you do make 2 Chardonnays, or maybe even more, but I see 2 that we could offer. One is a Santa Barbara wine or Santa Maria wine, and the other is the estate wine, and that's what we are pouring, which is the Presqu'île Vineyard, single vineyard Chardonnay from the estate. And can you tell us a little bit more about production technique?
Yeah, so production techniques are like you said, we've got a couple different tiers of Chardonnay, but I would say this is like the one we're most proud of, and that's why it's 100% Presqu'île vineyard. Pretty simple winemaking here. It just goes direct to press. After press, we let it settle. We let it get oxygenated pretty quickly, so we let it get nice and dirty. Then we take it off the solids, boom, right into barrel. After fermentation, it will sit in barrel for about 12 months, 10 to 12 months. And these barrels it's kind of been a transition to us. It used to be 100% barrique barrels. Now we transitioned to 100% big Stockinger barrels, the big Foudres. And that's where all of our Chardonnay is born and lives most of its life for about 12 months. And then we go back into stainless for 6 months just to kind of tighten everything back up again. And then boom, right into barrel.
That's cool. That's a different process. And those big barrels really don't put a lot of wood character on them, but they have a lot of surface area for oxidation or at least evaporation, and you get that wonderful texture here.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good way to get all the positive benefits from wood, like as you said, softening, you get texture to it, but it doesn't give that big wood imprint into the wine, which I guess we can associate a lot of times with domestic Chardonnay. And if we're going to look at ourselves and how we differentiate ourselves, that'd be one of the aspects.
For sure. Well, it's a beautiful project. And are you open for visitation?
Yeah, we're open 6 days a week from 12 to 5. We got a pretty good program up here too, because if you come up, you visit, we've got a kitchen and we've got a 1.5 acre garden here, which we're sourcing a lot of our food from. So it's a cool opportunity to come up. You get a taste some of the wine, but you also get a great sense of the place as well through some of the food as well. So unique program in Santa Barbara County for sure.
That's unique for anywhere in California. So it's a great treasure. I'm gonna remember that. I want to come see you, and maybe we can bring a group someday.
Oh, please do. We love to have groups up here and, show off what we do and what we're proud of.
Well, thanks for your time today, and thanks for being a star of Chardonnay.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Awesome.
some good comments there on the wine. Any comments anyone want to share about Presqu'île, the estate 2018? I think it's really become a better wine. When these wines are released, they're pretty hard and they do take some time. And that's part of what they're doing with their winemaking process, is trying to find out, what can they do to elevate the wine at the winery and then release it into the market so that the first experience you have with it is really solid. And now that this wine's in that fourth year, it's really starting to round. It was pretty damn hard in the first year when we ordered the wine. I do expect that from this producer. This is not an oaky, buttery producer, but they do want to make a wine that develops, and they want to see what happens with their estate vineyard, and they kind of trust their farming, and they want to put it out there and see where it goes. And I think it's one of the, quite frankly, I would, if I were to list the top 10 wineries in Santa Barbara, this would be in it. And I've never been disappointed with one of their wines. The estate is phenomenal. The winemaker is actually South African, and that's where I got South African from Presqu'île. His name is Didier, DDA, and he is a really tremendously talented guy, and he understands what's going to be happening with this wine from both a science level and also from an artistic level, and really gives all of his wines a wonderful, tender touch. Now, if you came tonight expecting big buttery, how buttery can they get? I think you're going to be pretty disappointed tonight because I tend to show off wines in this program that have a lot of restraint, and they have a lot of balance, and they have a lot of focus, and they're going to have a lot of complexity. This probably is about as buttery as they're going to get tonight. Maybe our HDV, maybe HDV gets a little butterier. But there are some wonderful wines here, and it's packed full of different ideas. It's not 6 wines from 6 different countries that all taste the same, I hope. But I really want to explore this world, and I think that's really what's cool about this environment, is being able to kind of pop around the world and go from one spot on the earth to another and taste with these great producers. So we got another one to go. Any questions, any comments so far? Ivy, thanks for all your input. Hi, Janine, good to see you. Gia, what are you thinking?
Hi. I got a little smoke on the nose. Did you get that?
Like when you say
Like a soil smoky, only in the beginning, but not towards the end.
and that could be just a kind of a characteristic from the barrique. It could be a little of their lees type of thing that's showing off. But I think there's quite a bit going on in the nose here. I mean, it's kind of going all over the place from I got very specific. I smell almost like a red apple skin when I first smell this wine. And, you maybe like even a bruised red apple. It just really has a very different set of information. And that's one of the reasons why I like it so much. It's pretty unique. And we're going to taste a Napa Valley Chardonnay later. So I didn't want to just show 2 really big, creamy styles, but something very cool from Santa Barbara that maybe you haven't tried before, and just happen to own a ton of this wine. So that's also something, I'm here to show off some of my investments, because that's what we do here. We make big bets. And this was a big bet for us. So if you like this wine, we'll have it for a while.
Nice. It's very nice.
Let's go to wine number 3. Did you get your little jars, everybody? I think these work so damn good. I am literally pouring it out of the open bottle that I poured and tasting both. If you just open your bottles today, I opened the bottles and poured these on Monday. Coming out of the little jar, they're drinking great. Coming out of the bottle, they're coming out a little tired. So the little jars just work so good because we fill them all the way up. They're hard as hell to get open. I'm sorry about that, but we just don't want any leaks. Okay. Now, the next wine is potentially like the outside dark horse. There's no way anyone's tried this wine before. This is and I want to be the guy to share some really fantastic new finds with you. Get ready. Now we're going to southern Argentina, to the Patagonia, with this guy. His name is Piero Incisa della Roqueta. That does not sound Argentinian. He is the owner of a great winery his family owns Tenuta San Guido in Italy, which is the maker of Sassicaia. Now, he has quite a few brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, cousins, blah, blah, blah. And there's a lot of that family stuff in the politics of making Sassicaia. He didn't want to involve himself with that. So he said goodbye, and he bought a vineyard in Argentina, and that's Piero. He said goodbye a long time ago. I actually met him when he was going to school at Pepperdine, and he was hanging out in LA, coming to our wine events all the time. I worked with him and his family when I sold co-brand wines, which had Sassicaia. And so we became good buddies, and we did a lot of really cool stuff. Flash forward 10 years later. Kaylin, I'm sorry. I'm in a Zoom right now with about 50 people watching me talk to you. I got to call you back later. He's called 5 times. Sorry about that. So we're very good friends, and I'm excited to turn you on to this wine. Let this video go, and hope you guys enjoy the wine. Let's see how it's tasting and make some comments on it. No excuses here. This is world-class stuff. Of course, the video's got to play. We are going to visit Argentina, Patagonia, but we're visiting Ibiza to do that, as Piero Incisa is sitting in Ibiza in his home and going to tell us about the Maikay Chardonnay from Bodega Chakra. This is Patagonia, Argentina, biodynamic, and a tremendous story. And I'm so pleased to be able to see you, Piero.
Thank you, and it's a pleasure to see you. I like your hat.
Thank you. I'm a big Dodger fan. Coming off a big weekend. We're going into the World Series. It's big time for us.
Best of luck.
So, Piero, how long have you been focused on this project, Chakra?
Chakra was born, first vintage was in 2004. I came across a wine from this region in New York in 2000, after having represented my family business, Tenuta San Guido, which is the producer of Sassicaia, at the Wine Spectator event in New York. I decided to take a plane and to go and see where this Pinot that I tasted blind came from. And I landed in the state of Rio Negro. The closest city next to us is a small city called Regina. And we were in the village of Maikay. So it's the northern gateway to Patagonia. And we are on a riverbed of a high plateau, as you can see this. So this is a river that used to be approximately some 24 miles wide. And this valley was populated by dinosaurs and sequoia grove. Of course, all of that changed over the course of 5 million years. So we're sitting on a riverbed that previously were actually where the Pacific and the Atlantic met, believe it or not. So this area was inundated by both oceans. So we have a marine soil. You can find shells, sediment in the soils, strong salinity and salt, but also calcareous stones that comes from the Andes, because these rivers are created by the melted snow in the Andes. So it's very mineral and pure water. Soil composition primarily is clay with lime, silt, and sand, and of course a lot of calcareous matter. This is our biodynamic house where we store our biodynamic products and preparations. Chakra is 100% traceability. We don't use any chemicals in our farmings. We don't use any chemicals in our vineyards. This is on the left is part of our team, and on the right, this is our horse, Lunita. What's so special for me is that we have incredible microclimatic condition, a very clean ecosystem. There's no pollution. We're in a desert, so deserts are typically very clear, non-polluted areas. We're very remote. We're not next to any metropolitan areas. The nights are very cold, which promotes good acidity in the wines and the most fine aromatics.
Now,
This is the wine we're talking about today, I guess.
yes, and we're very proud to, Piero and I have known each other a long time, and I'm overly zealous about being one of your best supporters here in Southern California, and we carry as many of the SKUs as we can get our hands on. And I'm going to tell the world about this project. James Suckling has been telling the world about this project, naming you one of the top wineries, and you know, that's a mouthful. In a world of wine, to put a Patagonia wine on the map is a big project unto itself, let alone be listed alongside the greatest wines in the world. In Patagonia,
Yeah, Make is the name of the village right next to Chakra. And the wine started, first vintage was 2017. I'm very proud of this project because the wine is made by Jean-Marc Rouleau, who's a dear friend and is an incredibly talented winemaker. I think that is the name speaks for itself. Jean-Marc is not a consultant, he's a partner in the Chardonnay venture, so we are co-owners of this project. And the wine is made by Jean-Marc with Chakra team to assist him, but he really calls the shots, and he's not just the creative director of this wine, but also the main player. This is a result of his talent and his expertise. He's all type of Bourguignon, so for him it's all about quality and small productions and really getting to know the terroir. And I think what he liked about Chakra is that for him is a blank canvas with a great terroir. So he got there. We have no tradition because it's a relatively new wine region. So it was an opportunity for us. You know, you're so close to tradition, so we're able to really experiment, and Maike is a result of that.
That's a great story, and everyone on this Zoom, you may want to Google Rouleau and get to see what some of the family's wines are selling for. They are impossible to find. They are dear. They are traded. They're basically currency. They're like an investment grade for sure. And so you've got a partnership with him. And again, the list of bullet points to note, talking Patagonia, old vines. What is it that we should look for that you think represents this wine? Obviously, there's a lot there to ingest, but what is it that you're...
I think that it's a wine that is incredibly versatile. There's a very strong verticality or minerality, whatever is the terms that resonates with most people. There's a lot of tension. The wine is very linear, it's very pure. There's a beautiful oxidation, which is the trademark of Jean-Marc's wine. And it just makes you want to have another glass and another glass and another glass. It's not an opulent wine. It's not a wine that has a lot of oak. Of course there is oak, but it's so well integrated that you're not really feeling it. And it really expresses all the gentleness and elegance that is so typical of Jean-Marc Collot's wine. These are the beehives. We have around 200 beehives in the farm. The idea is to promote indigenous yeast and to help with pollination. And the added bonus that we have is that we have approximately 250 pounds of honey every year. But in addition to that, we recycle the beeswax from the honeycombs, from the beehives, and we use them as capsules. So at Chakra, we have eliminated all sorts of plastic capsules, and we replaced that with our own natural wax from our own beehives. That's what you see in that picture there. In the other picture, on the other hand, is Jean-Marc smelling a cork.
Yeah. Well, this is it's an incredible operation. I'm going to encourage everyone to not only enjoy this wine, but to dream a little bit and come and try all the others that we are accumulating. It's a great story in the making, and continued great success to you, sir. Thank you so much, Piero.
Thank you so much, Ian.
Talk to you soon.
Have a great day.
Too. Okay. Well,
Sorry, my man.
we are going to go. Well, I'm very proud of my hat selection in this series tonight. We've got the full array, the full spectrum of Dodger caps. In every video, there's a different cap being featured. I hope you enjoyed that wine. It is absolutely like a fine Burgundy, and there's a lot of reasons why. You found out Jean-Marc Rouleau is making that wine. It's just something really unique. And I will say, again, price being king, that wine punches way above its belt for the dollar. And so check that out on our website. I have a good amount of it. I need to make sure I got everything on the website. If it sells out, I got to go back in and make sure. I didn't want someone to come in and steal it all, because it did get like a top 100 listing from James Suckling, and he just continues to get these huge scores on multiple wines. This is his more basic wine. This is where he starts, by the way. He has $110 and $130 Chardonnays as well, and those are getting perfect scores. So it's going to be an exciting ride for him, and I'm definitely going to be going along for the ride. And when we go to Argentina next year on our trip, we're trying to charter a plane to go from Mendoza, where we'll go from Buenos Aires to Mendoza. We'll go to Salta, and then we're going to private plane down to Patagonia, and we land like 5 minutes from his winery. And it's not going to be a whole lot going on down there. We're going to have a chef flown in and do some really cool stuff, if all goes well. Otherwise, I'll be cooking. But it's going to be part of our trip for sure to visit him and see that estate. All right, let's go to another corner of the world, and I couldn't take us further off the map than Margaret River. And I wouldn't be standing here today if I haven't been able to travel around the world and see some of these places and to go some of these great places. I've been to Italy with Piero, and even Lisa and I went to Italy, and we've been able to go to a lot of the winemaking spots. I got to go to Margaret River as well. I'm going to play a little video here that'll give us a little insight, and then I'll make some comments.
Great wines are grown and not made. The Renaissance Art Series Chardonnay really details the fabric of the site and the soil and the environment where we exist. Margaret River is one of the most unique wine regions in the world, where we're bound by the Indian and the Southern Ocean. We have this natural maritime influence.
There is incredible consistency in the fruit because the vines aren't pushed here. We have a sea breeze that cools down hot summer days. Our soils are sandy clay loam with lots of gravel sitting on granite. It's free draining, but it's lean. It's not too rich. And when it comes to harvest time, that really is expressed into the fruit. You can almost feel the landscape in the grapes, in the vines.
All of Artillery Chardonnay is Jinjing cloned. It's hen and chicken, big berries, small berries. The bigger berries are a slightly delayed ripening berry, which carry all the acidity, all that line and structure. The smaller berries carry all the power and the concentration.
The genesis of Art Series Chardonnay was in the mid-1970s and the planting of Block 20, followed soon after by Block 22. By the time we released our first Art Series Chardonnay in 1980, it was evident the outstanding quality of fruit these sites were capable of producing. We're very excited to be releasing our 2018 Art Series Chardonnay.
2018 epitomised one of the most fantastic vintages we've ever been involved with. What we received from Mother Nature that year was these beautiful growing conditions, but also the perfect ripening conditions. We've looked at this, one in the vineyard, through its fermentation and maturation, 100% new French oak, and then through its 2 years maturing in bottle.
In its youth, beautiful purity and clarity of fruit, cut lime, pear, nectarine.
But also, when you taste it, the nose goes with it, beautiful aromatic chamomile spice.
It's a wine of incredible poise and balance and elegance and complexity, and the hallmark of this wine and all Art Series Chardonnays is the incredible length on the palate.
As you see those wines unfold and unravel for 10, 20, 30 years, we see a marginal diminishing of those primary fruits, but then a building of those secondary and tertiary layers. It just screams passion for me.
Pretty cool stuff. We are talking about the edge of the earth here. We took a group a couple of years back. We started up in Perth and we drove down this road. And you look at these people and you look at this beautiful photographs in that ocean and you see all these chiseled surfer bodies that they have here. And these people look like they're living life, and we got to go there. They don't tell you that in November it's fly season. So I got there and we all had to wear like a beekeeper mask, because they have the biggest, most aggressive flies you've ever seen in your life. And they were going at us like crazy. It was the edge of the earth. And that's like a seasonal thing. In November, it's for about 30 days. They have uncontrollable amount of flies, and then nature catches up with it and shuts it down. So then we go to the Lewin estate for lunch, and we get to this beautiful winery. This is not a teeny winery, by the way. This wine is actually not large, but they make a good amount of this wine for the world, and it has been awarded, champion scores for a very long time. They have an actual like amphitheater at this winery too, because in Australia the way they sell wine is you come to the winery, you have a meal, you hang out, you buy some wine, you're part of the club, you get invited to some events. They have like major bands traveling and playing at this. I think Pink Floyd played there at Lewin Estate. I mean, that's how big the theater is. And so we're standing there on this beautiful property looking out over the vineyards. And it goes from like, all of a sudden it's very tropical. It goes from perfect to like cloudy. And then I can smell that it's going to rain. You know that smell that you get? That kind of that earthiness that kind of takes over the air. And all of a sudden, and I'm not trying to scare you about this wine or anything, but a billion insects come up from the ground and fill the air as this rain is starting to fall. And I believe they were termites, and they just came up from everywhere and they started blowing in. And we're on the patio outside at the restaurant at Lewin Estate, and they have these fans set up all around the outside of the patio because it's kind of tropical, and warm, and so they need air circulation. And so all of a sudden these fans are like blowing these insects right across the dining room. And it was like, wow.
Jesus.
Probably not the experience they want every tourist to have, but memorable. Memorable.
Oh my God.
We also got treated to some extra special wine because that happened. So they brought out 1982 or 5 vintage for us to try. Just really showed us some amazing stuff. It's so beautiful there. The weather does change quickly. Yes, there are kangaroo everywhere, by the way. And in fact, you know, in this part of the world, the #1 killer of human beings are kangaroo, and it's because we hit them with a car, and they are big, and they people die a lot driving because kangaroo come out, and it's a big problem. And then there's a lot of orphaned little kangaroos, so they have a whole Joey program, and it's quite an interesting element to their society, their lifestyle. Here's the wine note. Hopefully you can still see that. And just, you know, beautifully balanced benchmark. You can almost, if you taste this on a couple of occasions, if someone were to blind taste you on this, you might actually be able to guess this wine because it is signature. It is consistent year after year. Big scores. Look at this, 98 points for a Chardonnay from Robert Parker. His description is powerful nose with purity and clarity of primary fruit with pear, white peach, lime curd, custard apple, layers of brioche, grilled hazelnuts, cinnamon, shaved nutmeg, black cardamom, and almond meal. A thread of graphite in the background adds an elegant complexity, penetration and drive with incredible shape and frame on the palate. Pear, cut lime, and nectarine are definitely define it throughout. Sweet spice and elegant oak usage. With the fruit underlined by a delicate acid line, leading to a palate with effortless length. The label does change artwork every year. It's approximately $100 a bottle. I carry both the 17 and the 19. When we first started down this venture, we were going to get the 18 vintage, but that didn't work out. We got the 19. And yes, this is worth it. It is an expensive, special treat. It is a world-respected wine, and I want to have a couple of those in our stars of Chardonnay for sure. That is a superstar and a benchmark at the same time. And just like every Stars event, I drink the wines. It was a long day today. I'm drinking with you and enjoying these. Hopefully you're enjoying as well. We're moving into HDV, and this is Hyde de Villaine. And as I said, I like to have some superstar wines in the lineup, and this is another one. Hyde de Villaine, that's Larry Hyde and the de Villaine family of Burgundy's Domaine Romanée-Conti. They are actually blood family with the Larry Hyde, because Mrs. de Villaine is his cousin, and so they thought to marry the families and kind of in this project. Can't make any more Domaine Romanée-Conti if you tried, so they invested in Napa Valley. Today their winemaker is Guillaume Baudet, and let's watch a little video with Guillaume. We now go to Carneros, Southern Napa Valley, and we're going to hang out now with Guillaume Boudet. He's the winemaker at Hyde de Villaine HDV. How are you, Guillaume? Good to see you.
Good to see you. I'm doing great.
Thank you. I know you're in harvest, and we appreciate your time today. Let's get into the slideshow and show people a little bit more about HDV. How long have you been at HDV?
I started in 2013. Actually, I was an intern at the time, and pretty much worked my way up. A couple years later to full-on winemaker at the winery. So this year in 2022 is my 10th vintage already. So time is flying by pretty fast.
For sure. We're looking at the vineyard in Carneros, which is in harvest at this moment.
Right. Beautiful.
Yeah, Carneros is in Southern Napa Valley, and you guys have how many acres there?
So Hyde Vineyard nowadays is a little under 190 acres planted. The property itself is over 250 acres, growing, obviously. And we work with right around 15 to 20 acres of Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, Syrah, Cabernet Sauvignon, and Merlot. So we make a little bit of different things, all from Hyde Vineyard.
Here's the ownership. It's Larry Hyde, correct?
Yes, Larry Hyde to the left, Aubert de Villaine to the right. So those are the two founding partners of Hyde de Villaine. And so that's why Hyde and de Villaine is the name. And the two families came together when Aubert de Villaine married. The lady that we see in the center here is Pamela Fairbanks de Villaine, so Aubert's wife, who is also Larry Hyde's cousin. And Larry and Pamela pretty much grew up like brother and sister. So when Aubert married Pamela, he was introduced into the family. And that's when Larry Hyde started Hyde Vineyard as well. So Aubert was on site with him in Carneros, and they were together talking about, sites, options and rural orientations, and how to kind of start organizing the whole vineyard.
Well, it must be stated, just in case people don't know, that when we talk about the domain in Burgundy, we're talking about the domain in Burgundy,
right?
Domaine Romanée-Conti. And Mr. de Villaine and his family have had ownership of Domaine Romanée-Conti in partnership with others for a very long time. And it is one of the reasons why today it's the most collected wine in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And probably a little bit of a friction for you there at HDV, having to, live in that shadow a little bit. Didn't you even have to not make Pinot Noir for a little while? Is that true?
Yeah. Actually, it's an interesting story because so in 2000, when they started the winery, we were making Chardonnay, which was Aubert de Villaine's dream, making this Chardonnay from Hyde Vineyard with Larry Hyde. But they were also making a Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot blend, which for a Burgundian family is a little, interesting. But actually the wine is exceptional. But at the time, people would still come and visit the winery and ask for our Pinot because of, the ownership and the heritage that they have. And we only started making Pinot Noir from Hyde Vineyard in 2013. So 13 years after inception was the birth of our first Hyde Vineyard Pinot Noir.
Now, this is the old facility, the one that I visited many years ago.
Yes.
And now we're going to see the new or the renovated facility.
Yes. Yeah, no, we've been working on the property for the past 2-3 years. So we have a brand new crush pad, solar panels, and all kinds of cool things. So the work environment is a lot nicer for me, and the property is looking amazing. We're really excited.
And you'll only see wine quality continue to elevate, but that's hard to believe. I just really do think that in California, there's a short list of really top producers, and you're right at the top. This is spectacular wine. It'll age like a champion, and it has already put on some really interesting character now in year 4. And I'm really encouraging people to embrace this brand and to take a position on it. And here we are looking at the 2018 that's in your glass. Just a magnificent wine that showcases the barrel fermentation, barrel aging. 100% malolactic?
Correct. Yes. So it's fully sugar dry. It's fully malic acid dry. Even though in the wine you don't get those very buttery, creamy.
High acid and very, I can tell the pH is in a very firm position. Where are you, like 3.4, 3 something around?
So post-malolactic fermentation, post-alcoholic fermentation, usually we're right around 3.2, 3.3. It varies. Let's say from 3.2 to 3.4. It's never much higher than that.
Very good. And what do you pick up with your wine that is like a target for you in Chardonnay production?
Right. Usually Chardonnay. So there's 3 things for me that define the wines that we make here, and I call them the 3 V's: vintage, vineyard site, and varietal. Vintage and vineyard sites are extremely important. And actually, vineyard site and varietal are always the same, and vintage will bring the variance over the years. So, the Chardonnay grown in Carneros always shows a lot of minerality, a lot of that iodine, salty, savory character as well. And then you get a lot of that citrus, like sometimes lime, sometimes more like, lemon, limestone. And then a little bit of that gunpowder flintiness in the wine as well, and then a lot of floral, white, peach, pear blossom as well. So it's very complex, but at the same time it's very detailed. There's a lot of finesse, a lot of purity, and then in the mouth, a lot of vibrance, a lot of energy and tension in the wine, and a lot of length because of the higher acid, which is also what carries the wine over the years for aging.
Well, it's a beautiful wine. Well, it's wonderful to see you again. Thank you for making the time, especially during harvest.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you very much. And congratulations on making some beautiful wines.
Thank you. Cheers.
Talk to you soon, sir. Take care. We now go.
All right. Let's talk about that one for a while. This is a beast, a big one, and it really... it's another one of those wines where you buy it and you have to kind of wait a little while to see it kind of hit its potential. This is 2018, which is a great Napa Valley vintage. They are making this to live a long life. And I've tasted this wine at 6, 7, 8, 9 years of age. Right now we're at 4, so it's still kind of shaping itself. But a wonderful wine to pull out at a special occasion. It's not as dear in price as Domaine Romanée-Conti or a bottle of Montrachet, but it's kind of made with that same ideal. They want to be number one, and they want to be thought of at the top. And in recent articles that have come out from different publications, they've been being mentioned. And this wine was one of the top scorers of its vintage as well. So big scoring wine, big style, deep, powerful, structured. And the biggest thing I can say is that even talking now, I can still feel that wine on my palate. It's still there. It's got incredible length and concentration, and it doesn't turn sour or anything like that. It's got a lifespan that's probably unknown. So something to know about them, and just really a great spot to visit in the future too. Kind of a little bit lesser traveled as well. They don't have a tasting room, so it's by appointment, and they only can see like 10 people a day. So if you want to go,
let me know you're going to Napa Valley. I'll email them and we'll get you in there and you can taste some amazing wines. And they do make some beautiful Pinot now, some beautiful Cab Merlot blends as well. Back to our slideshow, and we finish strong. And we go to Burgundy for a legend. We're going to taste some Chardonnay Montrachet with Guy Amiot, and we're going to finish with some old vines. This is higher level stuff, and I hope you guys enjoy. All right, it's Stars of Chardonnay. You absolutely are required to show off the greatest wines in the world. And now we're going to Burgundy, and we're going to the Côte d'Or, and we're going to Chardonnay Montrachet, and we're going to sit now with Guy Amiot and Fille. This is the brand in Chardonnay Montrachet that we're presenting you. We're showing you the VAV and the Old Vine White Burgundy, and it's presented today by Fabrice Amiot. And I want to say thank you, Fabrice, for making time. I know it's harvest. I know it's a little crazy there. Thank you for making a moment. How are you?
My pleasure. I'm very thankful for you to have invited me to this session. Actually, we've just finished the harvest a few days ago, and now we are in the process of finishing the winemaking. So it's all good here.
Oh, excellent. Fantastic. How was harvest?
2022 will be very satisfactory in terms of not only quality, but also quantity. Yes.
Finally.
It's been a few vintages that yields were very low and demand so high that we were unable to satisfy everyone. And now we're happy that because we have trust that in the next 2 years, we'll be able to send our babies to the world again in the quantities we love to.
Great to hear. Let's go to our slideshow. And this is the picture of the bottle that we're tasting. And Fabrice, are you sitting in Chassagne now? Is that where you live?
Yeah, I'm in the Chassagne-Montrachet village where I live with my brother, family, parents. My brother and myself are the 4th generation working on the family vineyards. We work on 12 hectares, which allow us to produce roughly 70,000 bottles a year. So it's considered as average here in terms of size, not too big, not too small. So we produce 26 different wines annually. You have to imagine our job here being like a chef in a restaurant and taking lots of care for every dish we are serving. So every cuvée, every vineyard, every plot is taken care of with lots of importance. It's a very boutique style that we're making here.
And Chassagne, the village right next to Puigny, right next to Santenay. You said 12 hectare. Are those contiguous or are they in little parcels? Ludi around the city?
Yes, 12 hectares are really scattered, mostly in the Chassagne-Montrachet area, where we produce 80% of our wines, but we do have wines also, vineyards also in the neighboring villages such as Saint-Aubin, Puligny-Montrachet, Santenay, Meursault, Bouzeron also, and I'm forgetting maybe Beaune, and it's about it.
All right.
But most of it has been established in the Chassagne-Montrachet area because my great-grandparents started to purchase vineyard here.
And here's the family lineage going back to the 1920s.
Exactly. As I said earlier, we are very proud and we feel very responsible to follow up the family tradition and philosophy, which was started a long time ago now, after Flavie, our great grandmother, who happened to be the businesswoman of the family, who had the bright idea to start purchasing vineyards and houses here. Now we have, in our range, we have one cuvée which bears her name, Flavie, as a tribute to her, to this brilliant lady. It's so important for us. And then, as you can see, the next generations have all added their stone to the Guy Amiot destiny. So for my brother and myself now, it's lots of pride and lots of pressure as well.
I'm sure. That's fantastic. And we look at one of the vineyards and the wall around the clos around the, is this around the entire city basically, or all the vineyards away from the highway?
Yeah, this is very near. This is one of the premier cru plot that we have in the range. It's like 1 block from my winery where I am seated now. And you have to imagine a very country landscape here, but very well designed by the work of man, which started in the 12th century with the monks, you know, at the time. And now it's become a magic and very unique landscape, which was actually listed on the UNESCO Heritage List in 2015. You really have to come and visit us. You're welcome.
Love to.
Yeah.
My dream is to retire in bone, so I'm working towards that. Long story, but it's I say it every time just so I put it out there.
It sounds like a fun plan. You're welcome to visit us and stay with us.
I will be in contact for sure. Fabrice, today we're tasting the Village appellation, but it is a Vieille Vigne, an old vine selection, right?
Exactly. You can see easily on this image, which doesn't need so much comment actually, because it tells itself that the classification of wines in Burgundy is quite easy, only 4 classes. And the Chassagne-Montrachet Village Vieille Vigne that we're tasting today is part of the Village section, which you see is quite numerous in Burgundy. Mostly produced with Chardonnay, as the cuvée that you are opening today. Vieille Vigne refers to not so legal term, but following what I've said about my family history, the average age of our plot is about 60 years old. It was planted a long time ago. We keep maintaining, but the average age is still very old. So you have to imagine very thick vines producing low yields, mostly in favor of quality every year. And 2018, which is the vintage you are opening, right?
Yes, 2018.
2018 is actually going to be similar to what we've just harvested this year in 2022, with lots of sunshine, very ripe grapes, clean, no rot at all, very flavored, concentrated berries of Chardonnay, which will make in the next 2 years marvelous wines, and that you are lucky to be able to experience with this 2018 cuvée. You will feel lots of generosity, both in nose and mouth, lots of volume, depth, which to me is one of the most flattering, generous, very giving vintage of the last decade. We're very happy when we can produce such a good vintage.
Can I ask a very difficult question? Chassagne is next to Puini. What is one of the signature elements of a Chassagne wine, a marker for Chassagne? What is it that I see the note rosemary oil, or is it a particular mouthfeel or nose, minerality? Where do you lean with you?
Oh yeah, I see. We usually note that between Chassagne-Montrachet and Puligny-Montrachet, which are the 2 neighboring villages which have the privilege to share the Grand Cru white wines of Montrachet. But what makes those two appellations slightly different is the style that we often find based on the terroir, the soil, the exposure, the altitude. And most of the time, the Puligny wines tend to have a more linear and more forward style. The Chassagne style of wines, on the opposite, have a more fleshy, full-bodied, volume type of style.
Well, we really appreciated meeting you today and being able to taste this beauty amongst all the wonderful wines that we're tasting today, each being, a signature of its place, of its origin, of its philosophy. And we hope that we can come and visit you in Burgundy and see this magnificent site. And please envision me in a few years there, Fabrice, maybe having coffee in the local farmer's market, maybe a little baguette and some cheese in the morning.
I will be happy to cheers with you and to take you to the most authentic places, to the most local and hidden gems that only local people know.
That's what I want. That's what I want. I love that. Well, thank you and have a great day. And I hope that 22 finishes strong for you. Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome. Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup. Au revoir.
So nice. I want to thank Ivy for helping us get that visit right there. Her and her company worked with us. Ivy represents that producer, and this is a real important producer, not only for Chassagne but for Burgundy, and it's wonderful to be able to get a moment with them, especially at this time of the year. They're not necessarily always available, and you just never know what you're gonna get when you start talking to the French in their wine cellar or whatever. But Fabrice is quite camera easy on the camera, or the camera is
friendly.
Yeah, camera friendly. That's a good way to say it. But the wine itself, it's a young wine. These wines typically, they talk about 8, 9, 10 years for this wine to kind of come around in the bottle. We in California we can make wine that's ready in 2 or 3, but plus $100 a bottle. This is kind of on the beginning phases of investment grade. I wouldn't say this is a wine that you want to buy and hold forever and maybe sell it for 5 times what you paid for it. There are wines that do that sometimes, but this one is just a really good one to have in the near term. It's probably 3 or 4 years away from that little bit of a bitterness, kind of firmness that softens up with time in the bottle, like Burgundy does. But it also softens up a little earlier, like right now, if we had it with food. And that's what it's made for. It's not a cocktailing wine. This is absolutely about having it with food. And I would say, certainly you could, a lot of the typical dishes would be perfect. Thanksgiving turkey, roasted bird, any kind of game bird. And you can head into different types of pork and, just depending on what kind of cooking method, sauce. But really a delicious higher end version. I think Target retail on this wine somewhere around $125, and we have it maybe for just a little bit less than that. But it is a great Burgundy, and it's great to be able to meet the Amillot family. And hey, he gave me an invite to the winery too, so that was kind of a bonus. So on a future trip to Burgundy, I'll be hanging out in Chassagne, and I'll let you know when I'm there. That is going to conclude our show for tonight. Thank you guys for joining us for Stars of Chardonnay. Have a good night, everybody. Look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks for participating.